Caitlyn Clark being frustrated. Caitlyn Clark wanted to come back. Word on the street, front office, even Stephanie White said it down in Phoenix. She stated, we are worried about the long-term health of Caitlyn Clark. That has been the topic. That has been all.
Caitlyn Clark, the superstar who lifted the Indiana Fever from obscurity to playoff contention, has been benched. Not by rivals, not by age, but by her own front office. The same suits who owe her everything are now trying to sideline the very face of women's basketball. But hold up, Clark isn't backing down. She's not accepting this quietly. Oh no, she's absolutely fired up, ready to fight, and she's making it crystal clear. No one benches Caitlyn Clark.
Is Caitlyn Clark not playing because she's hurt? She can't come back? Or is she not playing because the organization chose to bench her for the rest of the year? Because Stephanie White has come out and made some comments, and I don't like.
Okay, so get this. The Indiana Fever are officially headed to the playoffs for the second straight year, racking up a franchise record 23 wins, their first winning season since 2015. Pretty incredible, right? But guess who won't be suiting up for the most important games of the year? The player who made it all possible, the one who single-handedly turned empty seats into sellouts, whose name alone brings crowds, headlines, and massive revenue. Caitlyn Clark has just been ruled out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs, and let me tell you, she's not just frustrated, she's absolutely furious. And honestly, she has every single right to be.
The Indiana Fever are having a tough time covering the tracks to the dirty games they played and screwing over the fans and sabotaging Caitlyn Clark. Everybody is on to the dirty games that the WNBA and the Indiana Fever have played this season, manipulating the people and using Caitlyn Clark for money and using her fans. Stephanie White has been exposed. Lexi Hall confirms that Caitlyn Clark was ready to play and that the team made the decision to keep her out while she was.
The official reason they're giving you? Big picture, long-term health. The front office is acting like they're protecting the crown jewels, practically bubble wrapping Caitlyn Clark for some distant future that apparently matters more than the present moment. They're practically patting themselves on the back for being cautious, expecting us to pause and cheer them for sidelining the very player who turned this team into must-watch basketball. Clark made the Fever relevant again, and now she's being benched like some kind of liability. Seriously, nobody's buying it.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlyn and kind of the ray of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play and then to, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
You have to understand, Caitlyn Clark isn't just another name on the injury list. She is the reason anyone's even talking about the Indiana Fever. This franchise spent 7 straight years as a league afterthought, nowhere near the playoffs. Then Clark arrives, and suddenly, they're postseason contenders, packing arenas and headlining Sports Center. She didn't just play, she literally transformed this team from basement dwellers to ballroom guests, all because of Caitlyn.
Caitlyn Clark strapped on her hard hat and steel-toed boots and revolutionized the game of pretend basketball. She turned this previously unmonetizable turd into a league that's getting dangerously close to losing their charity status. Because of Caitlyn Clark, the WNBA is on the verge of generating pesos and profit for the first time ever. She brought mainstream attention to a league that never had a chance of breaking into the mainstream. She brought a new fan base. For the first time, people were actually willing to spend money to watch the WNBA.
And how exactly do these suits repay her? By telling her to sit this one out. You know, this isn't just some tactical misstep, it's borderline disrespect. You simply do not bench the main character just as the story is hitting its absolute climax. It's like a Marvel movie cutting the superhero from the final battle over wear and tear concerns. Seriously, the fans came for Caitlyn Clark and now she's gone right when it matters the most.
Which I'm all for the long-term health, but you got to be a player-first organization. And if that said player is ready to return, she's cleared by the doctors. She's cleared by the damn doctors to play. Been cleared by the doctors to play. Let her fucking play. I am sorry. Y'all sitting up here, donkey and a damn carried everybody, wanting to get all the money you can off one day. It's one day at a time, one day at a time. All this BS y'all doing is ridiculous. And Indiana, you're looking spooky. You're looking spooky. I am sorry.
So, rewind to July 15th, 2025, a Sunday in Connecticut. Final minute of the game, Caitlyn Clark makes what seems like a routine pass, then suddenly reaches for her right groin. The cameras catch it all, her head buried in her hands, a towel over her shoulders, the raw frustration and heartbreak written all over her face. That moment changed everything, but here's the kicker, it wasn't because doctors shut her down, they actually cleared her for non-contact practice, and it wasn't because Clark wanted out, she absolutely didn't. No, the Fever front office made the final call, and the league felt it instantly. The very moment Clark left the court, WNBA TV ratings plummeted by over 50%. Not a typo, 50%. More than half the audience just checked out. Why? Because Caitlyn wasn't playing. That's the kind of gravitational pull she has. When she plays, it's an event. When she doesn't, well, it's just another game. Just look at her first showdown with Angel Reese's team. 2.7 million viewers on ESPN, the most watched game of the year. Clark posted a triple-double and lit up the internet. Reese, 12 points and a whole lot of side-eye. You see, Caitlyn Clark is the show, the whole show, and without her, the lights just don't shine as bright.
Instead of allowing Caitlyn Clark to elevate the league, WNBA players were overtaken with powerful feelings of jealousy. They resented her. They wanted her to go away. And this season, and especially over the last couple of months, WNBA players have gotten exactly what they wanted. After 2 years of claiming that the WNBA is about more than one player, unknown dump divers were finally given the opportunity to prove it. As expected, the end result has been huge embarrassing.
For nearly 2 months, the Indiana Fever dangled hope in front of fans like a carrot on a stick. Day to day, they said, we're just being cautious. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark was grinding in the gym every single day with one singular goal, getting back on the court. She was doing non-contact drills, participating in shoot-arounds, clearly on the verge of returning. She was ready to lead her team into the postseason. But then came the twist. The front office, the very same people who've cashed in on the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon from day one, decided to shut her down. Not because she couldn't play, not because doctors said no, but because they wanted to protect her long-term health. Let's just call it what it is, protecting their investment. Even if it meant sidelining the player who gave them their first real shot at a championship in years.
The Fever fan base has lost so much trust in the Fever organization this year, and not only from the injury reporting, but it stems from the injury reporting. There's been some very, very weird injury reports this season, and the math isn't mathing. And I've also been one to defend the organization to a certain extent because you don't always want to give away too much information. And I've placed a lot of the blame on the reporters. I'm like, how are the reporters not able to get to the bottom of this and at least give us something?
Caitlyn Clark just released a statement that should send a chill down every executive spine. She wrote, "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. Let that sink in for a second. Disappointed isn't a big enough word. This is Caitlyn Clark, the woman who's faced pressure that would crush most, who carried an entire league on her back, who turned the Indiana Fever from a forgotten franchise into playoff contenders, shattering attendance records and dominating national headlines. She didn't just lift a team, she reignited an entire sport, and yet, her own organization has left her feeling something beyond disappointment. That's not just frustration, that's betrayal. After everything she's done, elevating the brand, driving revenue, putting the Fever back on the map, they benched her during the most important stretch of games in a decade. Not because she couldn't play, not because the doctors said no, but because the front office thought they knew better. This isn't just a misstep, it's a slap in the face to the very person who saved them.
This is a sabotage job, you guys. Flat out, point blank. You guys have not been open and up front. You guys have talked about long-term health and wellness. You guys have not been up front with the injuries, with the injury report, with the timetable. You guys left this girl listed as day-to-day and questionable for months at a time. That is not being upfront with the people. It's not. It's not. It's not. You guys hid an injury, an ankle injury, for weeks. You guys hid an ankle injury for weeks.
The front office's excuse? We're putting no timetable on it. The most important thing for us is Caitlyn's long-term health. Oh, how noble. How considerate, how utterly insulting to a fierce competitor like Clark. This is a woman who's played through adversity her entire career, never missed a game at Iowa, never missed a game in her rookie WNBA season. But now, suddenly the front office knows better than she does about her own body. But here's the truth they definitely don't want you to hear. Clark was actively participating in team activities. She was running 5-on-0 drills with the squad. She was right on the edge of returning. Even medical experts began to question the team's day-to-day line, calling it misleading and suggesting her injury was minor, not season-ending. But instead of letting their star finish what she started, the Fever just pulled the plug, shutting down the player who made them matter again.
When she hurt her ankle in August, that was really the dagger that ended the season. But also, they had no idea when that groin injury would have healed. See, this is the part that's frustrating with these guys, is that why can't they just say mid-grade 2 or 3? Just tell the truth. Was it a 1? Was it a 2? Was it a 3? Was it a 1, but she re-aggravated in practice or something? Did they over-push her?
And how exactly does Caitlyn Clark respond to this betrayal? With pure, unfiltered honesty. She said, "This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever has brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot." Now notice what she did there. She thanked the fans. She praised her teammates, but not a single word of thanks for the front office that benched her. That silence? It says absolutely everything. Clark knows exactly who's responsible for keeping her off the court during the biggest games of the year, and she isn't hiding it.
She stated, "I miss it too." Y'all want to know why Caitlyn Clark said this? Because Caitlyn Clark never wanted to sit out. Caitlyn Clark wanted to come back. Caitlyn Clark wanted to come back, and they're treating her like she's property. That's what the Indiana Fever is doing. She's their property now. And since Caitlyn Clark can have the say on whether she can play basketball or not, which is completely damn me ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. If she could play and she want to play, let her fucking play.
Here's where it gets even more infuriating. The Indiana Fever desperately need Caitlyn Clark. Sitting as the 7th seed, they clinched their playoff spot with a 94-65 rout of the Washington Mystics. But now they head into the postseason without their superstar, their biggest draw, their very identity. Fans are already doubting the team's chances without Clark, and rightly so. The front office talks about protecting her future, but what about protecting the franchise's future? What about the thousands of fans who bought playoff tickets expecting to witness the Caitlyn Clark show? What about the TV ratings that will nosedive without the league's brightest star? They put hypothetical long-term concerns above real, immediate championship opportunities. This decision just reeks of organizational arrogance. The very same front office that saw Clark transform the Fever from irrelevant to must-watch suddenly thinks they can win without her. They're about to learn a harsh lesson. Sidelining greatness in favor of corporate caution comes at a steep, steep cost.
And so by making the playoffs, and by shutting down Caitlyn Clark, it means that they fully believe that Caitlyn Clark is not going to be an asset to this team, and they would rather go into the playoffs with Bree Hall on the roster than with a Caitlyn Clark. And I don't know if it's a situation of, like, they would rather do that than go in with Caitlyn Clark, and they would rather go in not have the headache of Caitlyn Clark. It straight up seems that this front office, whether it be the coach down, they do not want the headache of constant Caitlyn Clark.
Clark's statement continues. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. Let's break that down. Everyone who had her back. Not everyone in the organization, not the decision makers. No, just everyone who had her back. That's a clear, not so subtle jab at those who definitely didn't support her when it mattered most. This isn't just about one player missing the playoffs. It's about respect. It's about recognizing what Clark has meant to this franchise and the entire league. She's been the WNBA's golden goose, the player who brought unprecedented attention, passion, and revenue to women's basketball. And her reward for all that, getting benched by front office suits who've never even stepped on the court. But here's the most maddening part. Clark was ready. She was putting in the work, grinding through rehab, doing absolutely everything asked of her. Yet the front office decided they knew better than a competitor who's never backed down in her life. They chose fear over championship aspirations, sidelining their best shot at glory, and frankly alienating the very player who made it all possible.
I missed this so bad. Caitlyn Clark's message on her Instagram story. I missed this. It's just a tough thing to process, I'm sure, for her as well. And then the way it went down, it wasn't like a sudden thing, which in the long run is better, right? I mean, it's better that it wasn't an ACL or an Achilles or one of these injuries that's going to sideline her for a prolonged period of time. But the hope of her return, and then the ankle injury messing everything up in the process of that and making it so she couldn't return, it has to be burning.
And now the front office has to explain to fans why the most electrifying player in women's basketball is watching the playoffs from the sidelines. They have to justify why ticket sales will inevitably drop, why TV ratings will plunge, and why the Fever's championship window just slammed shut. All because they couldn't trust their franchise player to understand her own body and make her own decisions. Clark's final words in her statement are incredibly telling. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot. They took the player who saved their franchise and told her she couldn't be trusted to finish what she started. They chose corporate caution over competitive fire, spreadsheets over championships, and make no mistake, the fans will pay the price.
The WNBA had a star come in that has not had this much impact on a sport since Tiger Woods. That is how big Caitlyn Clark is. That is the global impact, and it's not just an American impact. That's the global impact that Caitlyn Clark has had on this league. The amount of eyeballs, attendance, all of the things. We've been over all of it. It's the Caitlyn Clark effect, Clarkonomics, whatever you want to call it. At this point in time, if you're still denying that, I don't know what to say. You're not living in reality. Unfortunately, though, there are still people at this point in time who are still denying that. When Caitlyn Clark went out with injury in the beginning of the season, the viewership dropped over 50%.
Caitlyn Clark deserved better. The fans deserved better. And when the Fever inevitably fall short in the playoffs without their superstar, everyone will know exactly who's to blame. Not the injury, not bad luck. No, it's the front office that was too scared to let greatness shine when it mattered most. Disappointed isn't even close to enough. It shouldn't be, as we gear up to watch the Indiana Fever in the playoffs without their one and only Caitlyn Clark. Let's take a moment to mourn what could have been. The front office wanted to play it safe, but in the end, they played themselves. And Clark, she'll be back next season with a vengeance, mark my words. You thought she had a chip on her shoulder before. After this, she'll have the whole damn casino. Meanwhile, the Fever will learn the hard way that clipping the wings of their golden goose leaves them with nothing but eggs, and nobody buys tickets for eggs. If the front office can't see that, well, enjoy the silence.